This is for semester 1, lesson 1, a makeup or video recording of it to get full credit. In order to get full credit, you have to record yourself playing all of these exercises that I'm going to briefly explain. I suggest that you practice them before you record yourself a bit, so that you know what you're doing when you submit it, because that will have some weight on what grade you get for the lesson. So I'm going to start with the Essential Technique book. If you do not have a book, you can go onto Smart Music and just type in Essential Technique, and then click on the one that says Essential Technique for Strings 2000, or book 3. You can say either one. Click that, and then make sure it's your instrument. You have your instrument, and then click on number 29. That's what we're going to start with. Make sure that you, violin people, that you check your first note, your A, and first position, and then shift. Make sure that they match, right? Another way you could do it is by playing your A against your open A. That should be an octave. So if it is very in tune, you'll be able to tell. The notes will blend together. If they're not in tune, it's going to sound pretty terrible, and you would know right away that it's not in tune, right? So this is in tune. I'm playing both the A and E string at the same time. This is not in tune. Both were pretty terrible. So should almost sound like one note. Okay, viola people, that first note that you're starting on, 29, believe it or not, that is your open A string, because you're reading treble clef. Okay, and cellos, I think you are in 4th position, so your first finger should sound the same as your A string. Okay, and then take a look at the key signature. No sharps, no flats. The notes that are written are A, A, B, B, C natural, or C. A, A, B, B, C. There is a half step between B and C, so careful that I hear that half step, especially for violin and viola people. So for violin people, if you could take a look at my fingering, it's 1 or A, whole step to B, half step to C natural. Okay, that's where the half step is, right here, B and C, natural. Play that one, and then number 30 are the same notes written, however the key signature is now different. You have 3 sharps, F, C, and G. So now instead of A, A, B, B, C, as we had in 29, we have A, A, B, B, C sharp. You can see my spacing here. Whoop, there we go. Whole step between A and B, whole step between B and C sharp. Play that one. And then you're going to record yourself playing number 31. You have a new note, D, self-explanatory. Make sure you're looking at the key signature. And then 32, and what do I have you go up to? 33? Yeah, or I think they're self-explanatory. Okay, the HSSM book. Now we're going to be taking some of what we were doing before, playing in 3rd position or upper positions, but going back and forth between first and a different position. Harmonics. This is page 7, number 22. As a reminder, a harmonic is a note that we get by placing our finger on a node on our string, and a node is the point at which you can divide the string evenly. So the midpoint, right, which is what we're talking about. So that would be the midpoint of the portion of the string that's vibrating. So when you play with the bow, the part of the string that vibrates and that we hear, the length of it is from the bridge to what's called the nut, which is right here. So that's the length that will be vibrating. The harmonic that we're using, there are many harmonics that exist, but the one that we're using for this example exists at the midpoint of the string. So at the exact middle between bridge and the nut, if you place your finger there, or well, if anything is placed there, but very, 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 very lightly, and then you play with the bow, what you get is the name of that string an octave higher, is what it sounds. So the D string, right, D string, there you go. And if I go into harmonic position, here's first, here's harmonic. So I'm moving my my hand up. I put my 4th finger on the midpoint, and I know that that's right here, because I've done this a lot of times and I have practiced it. So, right, you'll be there too one day, if you're not already. And there's a harmonic. So D, harmonic. And you can check that with your A string, D, A string, D. Good. Now, it sounds different though. That's on the A string, is the harmonic, so it rings out a little bit more. Anyway, 22, you have to go back and forth between first position, playing normally on the tip of the finger, then to harmonic position where you're using your fourth finger, or whatever the book says, depending on your instrument, to play the harmonic. Careful, when you're going back and forth between a harmonic position and a non-harmonic position, that you change how you place the finger on the string, right? So when you're playing normally, you know how to play. You already know where to put your finger. But when you do a harmonic, you have to make sure that you are barely touching the string. You shouldn't press down at all, like just rest it on top. And that you're using the pad of your finger, right? So that part, not the tip, when you're playing the harmonic. Okay, so it looks something like this. And give yourself time. There are rests built in so that you can shift and try to find it. If you can't find it, go back and forth until you find it, and that's fine. That's what the point of this one is. So it doesn't have to be perfect. 23, 24, 25. I must hear a slide when you're doing the shifting. So if you have E and G, and those are the two notes you're shifting, I need to hear a slide in there, okay? And when you go back as well. Why? You might be asking, why are we doing that? It's not normally how people play most of the time when they're shifting. And no, that's correct. When we are performing, in general, we want to hide when we're shifting. There are occasions when we don't, but by and large, we do want to hide that. But I want you to bring it out and make it obvious. Why? So that you can hear exactly when you get to the note that your destination is, your destination note, right? You can hear when you're sliding when you have arrived. Or you can also hear if you've gone too far or if you haven't gotten there yet. If you don't slide and then you shift, I mean, you don't really know what it's going to sound like until you start to play. And that was a little bit sharp, right? That was better. So that's why I have you do the slide. And then back. Make sure that your thumb goes along for the ride. Okay, when you're shifting, your hand should kind of relax a bit more. Your fingers should be, you should only have one finger on the string. It should lighten up, and then you shift, and then you reapply pressure, and then play the note. So you can do that for number 22, 23, 24, 25. What will help you a lot is to play the exercise probably in first position, get it in your ear, and then play it as is written with the shifting. Have fun.